brought his carbs down, and we just brought his protein and fat up. Now, the benefit to having more protein is it's going to satiate him quite a lot and keep his appetite full. So he's not going to have these up and down blood sugar spikes or these cravings when somebody that's in a low protein diet deals with pretty consistently, right? So we dialed that in, and then also helped him optimize the training sessions, right? Making sure that he was actually fueling properly. And then we looked at carbohydrates, because carbohydrates is one thing that he definitely needs in his diet, even if he does like to be on the lower side. So we had to figure out how many carbs and what time of day he was going to be eating these carbs to get the most fuel from his workouts, recover the best, not feel sore, and run into these issues he had been dealing with. Now, final thing is water intake, and this is one of the most underlooked aspects when it comes to fitness and body composition. Is if you're under drinking, right? If you're dehydrated, your body's not going to look the way it should if you want to have your abs pop and have that lean look. So we upped his water intake to just over a gallon of water consistently every single day. And he's also paired that with other supplements like creatine monohydrate that have helped him have a leaner, more muscular look. Second thing that we looked at was the pillar number 2, which is accountability. So yeah, how we actually, helped him stay on track and made sure that he didn't fall off, he didn't take steps backwards, was number one, coaching calls. We would break down where he was at, wins, and things that he was doing well with, and then also where he needed more help and support. Now, in addition to that accountability, where we can actually break down questions and we can do a deep dive, I also like to make sure that when we're not on our calls, you have what you need. So I implement checking photos and weigh-ins on the scale every single week, one time a week. Your weight's going to fluctuate, right? It might increase your cortisol. You might be stressed out, seeing your weight's too high or too low. That's going to affect things, as well as it's just honestly a burden. So once a week, after these fluctuations jump and rise, you're going to see steadily every single week what the results look like on the scale. Now, another thing we did was we did live feedback with adjustments and program updates. So, for example, Lee would often send me a message, either via chat or a voice audio in the chat. And just be like, hey, John, here's what I'm noticing from my recoverability, from my energy levels, from my day-to-day. Here's what I'm doing when it comes to meals. This is where I feel good. This is where I feel like I need some adjustments. For example, recently he reached out. He said, I want to incorporate more bicep movements to get my arms to pop. And that's obviously something that you can see in the photos. His arms have come a long way, but mostly triceps. So now we need to bring biceps back up, right? And it is a game of progression and progressive overload. So you never get to this point where what you're doing is enough. You always need to add more to it to make sure you're continuing to see results. Otherwise, you plateau and you fall backwards. So we want to prevent that, which is why we have all these touch points of check-ins inside the program. Now, the next and final thing was training. All right, so when it comes to training, this particular client actually doesn't have a gym membership. He works out in his basement, so he has equipment there. And we had to develop a training split that not only did he like, but also was going to, incorporate well with his daily exercise, right? He does a lot of mountain boarding and exercise outdoors. So we want to make sure that he can get the most from that and have the best, training sessions in that sport, but also making sure that with the weights, he's properly fueled and rested and he's getting stronger, right? So he can excel in that, right? So we looked at specifically RPE. RPE is rate of perceived exertion. So how difficult do these exercises feel? How many more do you have in the tank, when you're putting the weight down, right? You want to push past that 7 up into the 8, 8.5, or even 9 range, pushing close to failure. And especially with this client, we want to make sure that, we're not rushing things and we're not trying to put on too much weight. So we're keeping in that higher intensity range, also keeping rep ranges moderate to high. And then with progression, just like with the repetitions, also increasing the weight over time, increasing, the amount of sets we're doing, the amount of overall exercises and volume of the program. And then most importantly, tempo. Tempo is how long are your eccentric, the negative portions on your rep ranges? How long are the upward concentric contraction portions? What is the overall rest time between sets? And then how long are you resting exercise to exercise? All of this we did within 40 to 60 minutes every single workout, and most of them are on the 40 to 45-minute range, because we want to make sure things are concise, easy to adhere to, and very simple, right? So this is exactly the 3-step pillar that me and Lee went through, as do all of my other clients. However, it does, tailor person to person. It's a bit customized. These are the main pillars, and of course, like I said, it will be different from each client in the program, but this is what worked best for him. Now, if you want to see how you could potentially achieve similar results, you have to put the work in. You have to actually take this stuff serious. And if you do, you can see similar results. If you, though, want to see what your body is capable of and what you can achieve, you can go to my Instagram here at JStrivefit and message me the word ready, and I'll reach out to see if I can help.